Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for hosting this event. My name is Annette Aguirre, and many of you may know me because 2 years ago I decided to run for Congress, and many of you may be wondering, why am I running for this seat? And I will tell you that the decision to run for this seat was not an easy one. I've been asked to run for many seats, including some statewide seats. But when I heard that Katie Sorensen was deciding not to run for re-election, I was just as concerned as probably most of you are. How can we make sure that we keep somebody that has the same values and the same beliefs that Katie has had? We have been so lucky all these years that so many of us believe in our hearts that we have been represented so well. And that burning desire that got me into public office 2 years ago came right back with every Miami Herald article that came out about Jackson Memorial, every Miami Herald article that came out every day about our budget issues. It just kept nagging at me even more. And then when Katie and her husband said to me, "Why don't you run for this seat? You should think about it," it just nagged at me even more. So I am running for this seat because I believe we need somebody that's going to be that person that's going to hold the line on our urban development boundary. Somebody that's going to have the guts to stand up to the developers. And I will tell you, nobody can say I don't have guts, because 2 years ago I ran against an institution. And in 1992, when Hurricane Andrew hit our area, I stood up against Miami-Dade County when in Saga Bay my parents lost their home. And again, I was then sued by Michael Baumann when I stood up against him, against developers. And I was sued for $200 million, a slap suit. I am not afraid to stand up. I am here to lead you. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Linda Bell. I'm a 31-year resident of District 8, and I'm so glad to be here. And I also want to thank UEL for having this. This is such a wonderful opportunity to have a forum to be able to speak to the public. I'm the former mayor, vice mayor, and councilman for the city of Homestead, and I served a total of 6 years in office. And I find that I have very many parallels as I listen. You see, I didn't just hold the line in Homestead, I drew the line. I passed a building moratorium, which was not very popular with the developers, to slow the out-of-control growth that was creating such sprawl in the city. That was an 18-month moratorium. I actually stood against a multi-million dollar developer and was sued for $10 million because I stood up and I said no and I said enough. In fact, those developers pooled their resources, spent about $250,000, opened up a political action committee to oust not just me, but 4 of us, because we were courageous enough to say no and to say enough is enough. That's the kind of leader that you had as Mayor Linda Bell, and that's the kind of leader you're going to have as Commissioner Bell. So I absolutely know what that is like. So you do have a strong, courageous woman who's willing to take a beating for you, who's willing to do the right thing. You know, in 2 years, being in office for a total of 6 years, in 2 years, we completed 6 park projects, unheard of, that has not been done in the history of the city, on time and on budget, without spending 1 penny of taxpayer dollars. The kids wanted a skate park, we have a skate park. We were able to use forfeiture funds. We were able to buy a skate park that another municipality did not want it for pennies on the dollar, and then pay the original installers to put it in to guarantee so that it was insured and safe. So many parks. I valued the life of our senior citizens, and we built a state-of-the-art senior citizen center. I brought the first dog parks to the city of Homestead, and we brought 2 of them and a splash pad for the kids. We have a dog park for little dogs and a dog park for the big dogs because you want to have them be able to have room to exercise. In fact, if you fly over those parks, you're going to get a big chuckle because they're shaped like dog bones. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Abdullah Ofionna. I'm a 53-year resident of South Florida. And for the past 33 years, my career has been focused on this community. But before that, I'm a proud Boy Scout and Eagle Scout. And a lot of people talk about the Everglades and talk about what Ms. Marjorie Stone Douglas lived. but I've lived it too. I've lived it over there in going to Florida City and canoeing and camping out there as a scout, as a proud Eagle Scout. And through the years, I've continued my commitment to scouting and to the environment and conservation. Now, this whole thing about the urban boundary line, let's talk about it. Realistically, don't you think we have learned from our lessons from the past and about growth? Don't you think that builders and developers have learned? Of course they have. There is plenty of land outside of that boundary line that could be developed for years to come. And I'll be surprised if any one of us in this forum here, once elected, will ever see that line changed. Because there's a lot of inventory. And they're using this as a campaign stump to change really what the issues of this campaign should be. It's about jobs, it's about accountability, it's about transparency in government. Don't be confused. Don't let yourself be confused. Yes, it is extremely important to protect and defend the environment for our children and our children's children, but don't be confused that that's the mainstay of this campaign and this election. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll start off with an energy question. Turkey Point, it's not too far from here. And to start off, what role should nuclear play in Florida's energy future? Why don't you want to start with, Abdullah, we'll start with you and then come back this way.
Tell us again the time allotment that we have.
We're going to do 1.5 minutes. If someone wishes to offer a rebuttal, we'll allow that.
Turkey Point has been a concern for many, and Turkey Point provides cheap energy source for all of us. The expansion of Turkey Point is a process that has gone through a whole set of studies, and those studies have been played out by Florida Power and Light and through the regulatory agencies. Now, is your concern whether or not the expansion of Turkey Point from 2, 4 to 6 power plants, nuclear power plants, will be an impact on our environment? Yeah, of course it is. Now, we have seen what France has done in terms of nuclear power, and they have done an incredible job in maintaining and providing cheap power to their population. Is there more study to be done? Yes. I think that there has to be study to ensure that we are protected in this process.
So just, if I could, I'll give you more time, but just to focus the question for the whole panel. So, nuclear generally though, should Florida expand in terms of deploying nuclear energy?
Or we can drill for oil in the Gulf and see what happens.
Well,
Yeah. So tell me, I think that nuclear power has proven to be safe, okay? And it's something that we need to explore, but using the proper protections.